So, wisely, are you in on that decision when the movie opens?
A little bit. I did say this seems a little bit crowded. You know, obviously, I said to them, I said to the head of marketing, I go, listen, I've got no idea what I'm talking about. I have no instincts on this at all.
Right.
And he said, neither do we. So
he didn't say that.
He basically did.
He did.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. It's a guessing game, really.
It is a guessing game.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like even with me doing this America's Got Talent, I think, wow, this is a big network television show. There must be some science to it. They stuck me in a room with Howard and Sharon. Let us decide the entire fate of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I go, isn't there any more discussion? No, this is your job.
Are we the final say?
I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, well, I've got no idea what the fuck I'm doing, yeah. So, it's a little bit worrying.
So you don't worry about the movie business?
Listen, you don't want to lose money, because so far I've never lost money, and so I've been able to carry on making my stuff. But if worst comes to worst, I lose money, then I make cheaper films. So
I'm one of those guys.
Or you'll always find an idiot who'll, finance your film. Another guy who goes, hey, you choose. Yeah.
No, the reason I'm really concerned about your career is that I personally enjoy your movies so much and your work, when you even did the HBO show, that I want you to continue doing these things. And I want you to continue being a risk taker. Because what happens is, if you have a failure, then everybody begins to second guess. And then you go, oh, maybe I should have been a little more commercial, or I should have done this, or I should have gotten another star.
Yep.
And that would be awful for you. I like the freedom you have.
Yeah, that's true. Well, listen, you've got the freedom here. How did you do it?
But I spent 30 years in horror and misery to get this kind of freedom, and I appreciate it.
Well, I think to keep the freedom, you have to be ready to have failure. That's how you take the risk. The risk is, I'm going to put this joke out there and people may hate it. I remember when we were writing Borat, and we wrote The Running of the Jew, which is, I don't know if you remember, a scene where, these Kazakhstanis run away from a scary Jew.
Right.
We're like, no one's going to like this. This is disgustingly anti-Semitic. I find this funny in the room with the guy I'm writing with, but no one outside this room is they're going to find this repulsive. We were like, let's shoot it. Who cares? We're making the movie for $10 million. If no one likes it, who cares? Yeah.
Did you get hell for, because I could imagine that kind of stuff. Someone must have viewed that somewhere at the movie company and gone, maybe we should take that out.
Yes, all right. Well, that's what happened. When we first showed Borat, there was an executive at Fox who now has left, who said, the movie was playing great, and we played it for all the kind of comics in LA, and they were like, wow, this is
crazy.
This is crazy, and it's totally different. And we took it into Fox, and this guy said, listen, and he was our executive, he said, you've made two movies. You've made a satire, and you've made a comedy. And you can't have both. So you're going to have to get rid of one of them, and we suggest you get rid of the satire.
Wow.
So they wanted everything, get rid of, the national anthem and anything remotely political or Jewish or,
That's breathtakingly idiotic.
Yes, he no longer works there.
Right. You probably track him. Me, I would have named him and publicly humiliated him.
I actually can't remember his name. Yeah.
No, I like that you actually can, withhold that kind of thing. So, to me, the thing with your career is that, I'm referring now to the Academy Awards, because this is interesting to me, and I'll get to that in a second, but I'm all over the place. Jonah Hill was in here.
Yes.
I didn't realize he was one of your writers on your HBO shows.
He wrote on Bruno, actually. He came in on Bruno and wrote for a few months, yeah.
And I said to him, I don't know if you heard the interview. I said, what was that like working for Sacha Baron Cohen? He goes, it was great. He goes, we just sit around and we would pitch these insane ideas. And sometimes he'd take them or not, but crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then, I read somewhere that working for you, you are so demanding as a boss that you hire these guys to write and come up with ideas. And if a guy doesn't come up with 100, you expect 100 ideas, right? And you expect those ideas to be good. And that you'll go off into a room and maybe only choose 2 of them. Is that how the process works?
The process is more, I sit in a room with either one guy, and it can be 4 guys, and we'll stay in there until we've got the stuff. And that's difficult for some people. I think, Jonah came in, and he hadn't worked those kind of hours. But
never. He had never even really... He said it was like his first job in show business.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you recognize that kind of talent.
Well, I had Seth Rogan.
Seth, too, right.
Seth worked for me.
Right.
And Seth and Evan, who's his partner.
Right.
And they actually were brilliant. I remember we were doing the Ali G show, and we were doing Bruno, and they came and pitched this idea, which was Boys Gone Wild. Going down to Daytona Beach, and it was basically getting guys to get their penises out. You know, you've got a great chance. Let's see what you got. Come on, let's go. And I go, all right, it's a great idea. I go, but we've only got enough money. He goes, he came with his partner. Yeah, this guy, Evan Goldberg, who's now a huge producer.
Right.
And I said, listen, we've only got enough money for one guy. I go, so we've got to choose one of you, you know. And he said, I'm with my partner, you know, I'll do it for the fee. I go, we've only got one room. Right. He goes, we'll share a bed. So these guys came on the road and shared a bed. And they'd be writing in their underpants with, like, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in bed.
Well, Seth Rogan said to me, it was crazy because we would come up with an idea that was so absurd. And they say, Sacha would take this idea and fearlessly go out and do it. I mean, to the point where you could get killed doing it. And they were like, what crazy shit are we going to come up with that he won't do? You know, like they were really genuinely shocked that you would do some of the things they came up with.
Well, that's it. I mean, you want to, you know, the fun thing is I've got the ability to not think of any consequences.
Right.
So when there's a funny idea in the room, most people go, that's, you know, that's absurd. No, we're never going to do that. But if it makes me laugh in the room, I'll try and work out a way for it to happen.